Tonight, electric dreams. The government says it's committed to building a clean environment for Hong Kong. 65% of the city's carbon emissions come from electricity generation. One way to reduce emissions is to develop renewable energy. 2 years ago, the government forced our two power companies to buy energy from ordinary citizens, generated from solar panels. Thousands have applied to join the scheme. The trouble is not everyone can connect to the grid. Tonight, Alice Khan reports on Hong Kong's efforts to bring more renewables into the power mix.
因為咧，咁呢套架咧就向南咧，咁太陽由東邊開始起咧，咁就曬到去西面咧，咁就全個方位都可以食得晒嘅。
People with rooftops could have a bright future, as long as the sun shines.
咁22度電咧就買翻俾電力公司咧，平均大約每一日就110蚊。
Now, ordinary citizens can sell their solar energy to the city's two electricity giants. But not everyone is able to connect to the power grid.
Power company need to lay a cable under the private property. Even one reject you, then cannot come true.
In Hong Kong, solar energy accounts for less than 0.1% of total power generation. Can Hong Kong further develop the growth of this renewable energy? 10 rooftops in this high-end development in Tai Po have solar panels installed. Homeowners produce and sell all their solar energy to China Light and Power. Raymond Ching invested $300,000 to place 30 solar panels on his roof.
It can generate 310 watt per panel, and the total capacity is 9.3 kilowatt. This meter, they will count about what sort of electricity we are getting on that day and get onto the grid.
Raymond connected his system to the power grid in mid-May and sells all his solar energy to the utility under the city's new Feed-in Tariff Scheme, or FIT. In April 2017, the two power companies, CLP and Hong Kong Electric, introduced their FIT schemes to encourage community participation in renewable energy development. It was part of their new scheme of control with the government. The scheme was officially launched in the middle of last year and will last 15 years to the end of 2033. The FIT scheme allows households, businesses, or institutions to install rooftop solar panels at their own expense and sell the electricity they produce into the power grid at $3 to $5 per unit. The rate is up to 4 times higher than the normal rate, depending on the size of the installation. The government set a higher price to make the scheme attractive. Raymond sells his electricity at the $5 rate.
It is about 56 units per day, and it is quite interesting. On a sunny day, you can have an income about 275 per day. Last 2 months, we just received the bill from CLP, and we saw the income is 10,500.
The FIT income offsets his normal charges, so he doesn't need to pay for any of the power he uses. Of course, the income can fluctuate because the sun doesn't shine all the time.
The lowest day we found on that month was the 2nd of September. So you see here, maybe most of the day they have a cloudy weather, a rainy day. On that day, thunderstorm. On that day, we made $35 to enjoy a big ice cream, which is good.
Raymond expects he could break even in 4 to 5 years. Connecting took 8 months, which he thinks is too long.
In other countries, maybe like 10, 20 years ago, they're already well developed, like in Germany, Australia, Japan, Korea. The challenge we have at the very beginning is to identify a qualified expert to taking care of the DC installation. They have to study the whole thing and get into a certain standard. So it takes time.
The FIT scheme holds the most promise for people who have rooftops. Mr. Tang owns a village house in Yuen Long. He used to live in the UK, where his family also took part in a similar FIT scheme. He realized the benefit of the scheme and was keen to sell his solar energy to his Hong Kong power company. Tang applied for the Hong Kong scheme in February and got approval from CLP to connect a 10-kilowatt solar system in April.
The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. South-facing panels can absorb sunlight from all directions.
It's not that simple, though. Most village houses in Hong Kong are subjected to regulations under the new territories of exempted houses if the owner wants to build a rooftop solar system. Under the regulation, the installation height of solar panels is limited to 2.5 meters. Also, the area of the panel system cannot exceed half the total area of the rooftop. Tang installed 21 solar panels. The total investment was $160,000.
CLP will do facility testing. Once passed, CLT puts an FIT meter here. Then your system is connected to the grid. You can then sell your electricity and get paid.
The Hong Kong Observatory says Hong Kong enjoys 3.9 hours of effective strong sunlight on average per day. 21 panels can generate 22 units of electricity. You could earn $6,900 every 2 months, deducting the average $2,500 normal tariff. You would have $4,400.
Tang expects he'll make a much better return on his investment in Hong Kong than his system in the UK, mainly because the FIT rate here is so much higher.
We like the green, you may say, the green environment.
As of the end of August, Hong Kong Electric received more than 100 applications, but only 40 homes have successfully connected to its power grid. Meanwhile, CLP received more than 4,700 applications, and 84%, or 3,948 cases, like Mr. Tang, have been initially approved. Only 810 cases connected to the CLP grid have started receiving FIT payments. 16% of applicants, or 752, may or may not be able to connect to the power grid at all. That is probably to do with technical issues. The existing power grid cannot support the extra electricity generated by solar panels. All of these cases are located in the less developed areas of the new territories. Eddie Chan is keen to apply for the FIT scheme. He owns a rooftop flat in a village in Tai Po. Eddie is an environmentalist. This wind turbine was his first renewable energy project.
10 years ago, I firstly used this as a renewable energy research, and eventually find this actually not very powerful, no use. So later on, I tried to install the solar panel here.
He used to have a 3-meter high structure of 40 solar panels covering the whole rooftop for more than 10 years. The solar panels helped him to save money on electricity. He only needed to pay about $100 or $200 per month.
The system actually could support me about 40% of the electricity usage a day. This is totally off-grid system. The off-grid system only can supply very limited power, just about 3,000 watts, which can support TV, a computer, the lighting in the stairhood, and also the very comparatively high power, the cooking device.
He planned to take part in the FIT scheme when it was launched last year. However, his previous structure was regarded as illegal. Also, the height of the structure of his solar panels was too high. So Eddie demolished the structure, leaving just a few of his solar panels. Now he plans to install 25 solar panels with a capacity of 10 kilowatt hours. It'll cost $160,000. He expects a payback period of 5 to 6 years.
I think it is about 32 kilowatt hour per day. The electric company pay me back about $50,000 per year.
However, his system cannot connect to CLP's grid. Eddie's not the only one who came across the problem.
If those systems or proposed systems, they are not located within our network coverage, then probably we cannot connect them right away. So that will require a longer time of coordination.
Stephen Chan of CLP says some cases do not have a large enough capacity to connect to the grid.
They want to install and get the electricity output to the grid. There will be safety issues because of overvoltage that can, for example, burn some appliances or even affect some sensitive appliances.
Chan says CLP would offer a lower capacity to help customers to connect to the grid. For example, CLP may offer 7 or 8 kilowatts instead of the 10.
If they want to do that system right away, then we will make use of the available capacities for them to connect so they can enjoy the FIT right away. Whether you're willing to take about 1 year or 1.5 years, do you want to wait for your full system to be built?
But lowering the capacity means less income. Eddie says many would rather wait. He's applied to enhance the network before applying for the FIT scheme, but he came across yet another problem.
Power company need to lay a cable under the private property. Then I need to communicate with the owner to get their consent. And this is a public road that we also need to apply to government department to give us the permission to do some road work. Even one reject you, then cannot come true.
When we come back, how difficult will it be for high-rise residents to plug into a government energy scheme? Stay with us. Welcome back. Hong Kong's target for solar power generation is between 1 and 1.5% of total power by 2030. A new deal with Hong Kong's electricity companies gives residents the chance to connect domestic solar power into the grid. Most of the applicants to the FIT scheme have been from village houses, but with most of Hong Kong living in high-rises, will tower dwellers actually be able to benefit from the FIT scheme too?
其實如果真係好日日都咁嘅太陽的話咧，我哋嗰20萬嘅一年嘅20萬目標應該唔似啊，可能唔止添喎。會啊會啊會啊。
Rhythm Garden in Sam Po Kong is among the first batch of private residential estates to take part in the feed-in tariff scheme. In April last year, management submitted the application and installed a total of 902 solar panels on top of 12 blocks. The system can generate 17,500 kilowatts of electricity per month. The estate started selling electricity to the power companies in October last year. The contractor, the property manager, and the chairman of the owners committee are checking out the installation.
好天喎，阿米生今日我哋嘅發電量點樣？
係啊，我哋而家喺11座啦，咁而家溫度32度，咁而家我哋累積到呢一刻發電量有55度啊！哇，好高喎，真係。係啊，換句話而講，我哋乘翻5蚊一度電啦個上網電價，咁今日都差唔多300蚊㗎啦，最少係啊，
都好犀利。一座
係啊，
一座300蚊。
一座啊
，12座咪好12座咪3600咯，3600。
係啊。
Their target was to make $200,000 a year. They have already achieved the target.
In July, we already made more than $20,000. $20,000 times 12 is $240,000. But the problem is, we don't have sunlight every day.
Bill Koh says the $8 million solar system was developed by a solar energy contractor. The contractor pays all the installation and maintenance costs. The management company will get 21% of the income generated, while the contractor will get a 79% cut of the proceeds.
If we invest in a lump sum one-off, the return is tremendous. Income is huge. But I find it very difficult to convince owners to put millions of dollars into a project which they are not familiar with. They think I am wasting their money. so we adopt an income share model. We didn't spend a penny, the contractor paid for everything.
Mike Mai, the contractor, is working with over 20 large housing estates to take part in the FIT scheme. Mai says it is more profitable to work with larger estates because there are more rooftops with more space to collect sunlight.
Hong Kong apartment and the roof are limited. It's not big. So we have to work with the whole estate in order to make the project is feasible. In terms of the investment return, if you have the big project enough, the income will be more.
Mike confesses working with the large estates isn't always easy.
We need a lot of time and effort to talk to different owners. So properly, if one owner not willing to do, then the project is not going to happen. So we prefer to invest the project with the committee and with the management company because they are willing to promote the solar energy to their residents. That means we save a lot of time.
Wai Kit On, the chairman of the owners committee, says residents had doubts about the solar panels.
Would it produce noise pollution, light pollution, or radiation? Owners wondered if the rooftop would be cracked, affecting the waterproofing. They would ask whether it would be blown away by strong winds during typhoon.
Another issue was money.
We didn't have the experience. We didn't know whether it could really generate so much energy and if we could make money.
1 year later, there's sunlight even on cloudy days. The estate received what was promised, a nice chunk of cash made renewably from the sun.
All the income is put into a pool in the estate fund. The income helps our financials. In other words, with more income, the increment in the management fee is lower.
But everybody in the state still wonders if they'll get a good income in the future. So they only signed a 6-year contract, and they'll review whether to continue the FIT scheme. The government guessed back in 2016 around 232,000 buildings could take advantage of sun-generated power with a potential to generate 10.7% of the city's annual consumption and lower carbon emissions. Currently, only 4,800 applicants have stepped forward. Hong Kong Electric's Leung Wai Kin says there are a lot of barriers to installation, especially in his company's territory on Hong Kong Island.
On Hong Kong Island, almost all are high-rise buildings, as you see, surrounding by high-rise buildings. If it is shaded by other buildings, there is no use. Even you plan to install the solar panel, you must consider whether there will be possible nuisance due to the glare.
Still, urban rooftops hold the greatest potential for solar power, with a combined area of around 29.1 square kilometers. The roofs of village houses are 2.6 square kilometers, but they make up most of the applications. The two power companies received a total of 4,800 FIT applications. 3,780 applications come from village and townhouses. Only 577 applications come from high-rise residential, commercial and industrial buildings. Leung Wai Kin of Hong Kong Electric says rooftops in village houses are usually flat, which can easily accommodate solar panels, while some rooftops in urban buildings may be occupied for other purposes.
Such as air conditioning equipment, lift machine room, satellite antenna, or even a rooftop garden.
Stephen Chan of CLP reckons this restriction can be solved by installing vertical solar panels or solar integrated building material.
There are new solar panels coming out with different technology, different integration with different purposes, like vertical solar panels. It can be built to a glass wall. So it will try to resolve the problem of rooftop. So if I don't have a rooftop, or I want the rooftop for the other purposes, and I have to build a glass wall anyway, so they can consider that.
If more join the FIT scheme, the power companies face rising costs of buying solar power. Currently, CLP is charging a tariff of $1.18 per unit. Hong Kong Electric is charging $1.20. They pay $3 to $5 for the FIT solar energy. To support the scheme, the two companies are selling renewable energy certificates to buildings that go solar. Energy researcher Kevin Lowe says this won't support the FIT.
Several thousand certificates have been sold to the public, several $100 for one certificate. Yeah, so very small amount of money. And that's why we think there is an impact on electricity bill.
If solar power makes up 1.5% of the energy mix, Kevin Lowe estimates Hong Kong will consume 750 million clean solar gigawatts, or $3 billion a year. Who will pay the difference?
It's usually either coming from the government's own pocket or coming from electricity surcharge. Roughly $24 of additional charges to our average electricity bill.
The two power companies say in the long run, if the FIT scheme continues to attract more applicants, the rate would have to be lowered.
When you look at overseas market, the long-term trend is declining. Given if the response is already very good and the technology price is dropping, then the fintech rate will drop.
When we say we want to reduce the price, if, for example, the solar panel, the price of it comes down, then to the customer investing in the system, they pay out less, and then the feed-in tariff naturally will come lower. So to them, it remains attractive.
Next time on Pearl Magazine. At a difficult time for Hong Kong, we look back on the special contributions of the Gurkhas, the British troops famed for their bravery and loyalty, who served in Hong Kong through some of its most difficult times.